Episode 26 of the Emergency Shed Storage Cleanout series represents 6 months. 6 months of something out of that shed every week without fail. We haven't faltered and we're making progress. Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Come with me and let's see what we can find this week. We're getting a lot of good shop stock. We've topped over $5,000 worth of stuff, and plus, not to mention some things that I'm keeping for my shed. And as we pan around the corner, we can see that we're actually getting down beside that shelf unit now. We're starting to make good headway in dealing with all this stuff that I had stashed at my old shop, some of it for around about 20 years. So what are we going to do today? Well, we're down to this tool chest here, and I'm going to keep this. When I say it's a tool chest, it's actually a pie warmer, and they make excellent tool chests. They're solid, they're well made, they have nice slide out drawers. It needs a clean up, and there's some residual spanners and tools in here from when I had my little workshop set up behind my old shop. Not that I ever had much time to do anything in there. I'm going to keep that. I might clean it up a bit better at some stage. I'll pull the tools out. There's nothing exciting in there. I'll decide what I'm going to keep and I'll take the rest to the shop. But I'll keep that for sure. It's going to be really handy on one of my workbenches. Perhaps I might be able to keep all my lathe bits and pieces in there. Yeah, that might be a good idea. Anyway, I'll leave that there just for the moment. You don't need to see me clean that up. I'm not going to go to too much trouble. But it will be a handy storage chest for the workshop. So last time we got those vintage fans, which you've probably seen the video on those fans. They're all fixed up and in the shop now. We also had that industrial light that was up the top. I've actually sold that first day in the shop. We got $50 for that. Now we're down to this box. I don't think there's much in it. Might be some books, I think. This box, which I'm not sure, I can see some headphones and I don't know what else is in there. Then we have this vintage printer. When I say vintage, it's maybe 20 years old, maybe 2000s, maybe a little earlier. It's got serial ports on it. It's a Hewlett-Packard, probably only scrap, probably only e-waste, but we'll pull it apart if it's not worth anything. I'll check it out. Box here, which doesn't look like it have much in it, although this is my old... when I was running compost bins and doing worm tests on my channel a few years back, this is a temperature gauge for my compost bins, and it worked well. I don't have anything going at the moment because I've been a bit overwhelmed with all the deals I'm doing. We will get back into composting and that at some stage as part of the channel. There's another box underneath that says radio. I don't know if it's got a radio in it. Another box here that clearly is a bit squashed, and that looks like a street directory. We won't get right down to the bottom today, but let's tackle at least the first two boxes, and we'll probably get the printer out, and that'll make a bit more room in this section of the shed. Okay, two boxes, making room already. Hopefully there's not too much small stuff in there and we get through them pretty quick. I'll go through these first before I get the next one. Okay, the first box doesn't appear to have a lot in it, and it does look like books. In fact, it looks like just a set of the same book. Air War Against Japan, 1943 to 1945, by George Odgers. And this is the Royal Australian Air Force by Douglas Gillison. Oh, and we have a different book in here. So we only got 3 books in here. This box may have been partially unpacked one other time. This one's the Royal Australian Air Force, George Odgers again. Now, these came from the big clean-up job I did a few years back, and I've mentioned it often, where the gentleman was in the Air Force and he kept everything in his shed immaculately, and a lot of books were in plastic bags, which is fantastic for me because everything is nicely preserved. There's no mouse damage, no silverfish damage. The books are not even dusty. It's amazing. So it's making my job much easier, and we're finding some really cool stuff. So I'll check these out on eBay just to see if they're sought after issues. At the very least, I think they're going to be $10 each. I wonder when these were printed. 40 shillings, so it must be pre-66. And he's got dated 1965 up the top. Do we have a printing date? First published 1962. So this other one will be a similar era. So again, I'll check eBay, but they're quite nice books and they will go well in the shop. Excellent. This next one's more of a jumble of everything. We have some headphones, Japanese-made Cherry brand. Wouldn't think they're a very good quality one. The vinyl's gone very hard. It's a bit deformed. So I think they were fairly cheap ones anyway. I can't see them being worth very much. I will check eBay just to make sure that they're not sought after brand, but they feel very plasticky. I would say they're 1970s era, and they're very cheap, I would suggest. So probably just the e-waste there. We have some wiring here. This looks like an antenna mount, the old gutter mount for your cars. The cars don't have little gutters on them anymore. So it's probably for a UHF antenna, a UHF two-way radio. It actually says Simpson Pierce on the antenna base. It may be sought after by a collector. I know early two-way radios are actually starting to become collectible. The other thing is I might hang on to this because I do have a few two-way radios to try and fix, and we will need an antenna for them to test them. So I might just put that in a box I've got for antenna bits and pieces. We have a tin here with some old metal. Now this is brass. I have a feeling, I do remember, I had some brass pieces at the back of the shop that were contaminated with various things soldered together, and I threw them in a bonfire at one stage and it melted the solder and all the bits of clean brass have come off. So there's an old bronze gearing off something. So these are all clean pieces of brass from my scrap bin. So that's easy. We will weigh these up to see how much is here. But always nice to find brass. Okay, getting further into this box, we have a soldering iron. It's an old scope with the 3.3 volt transformer, and including the actual soldering iron. These were the bee's knees in soldering irons back in the 70s and probably 60s. They worked very well. They have instantaneous heat. A lot of the old guys used to say that they were the best you could buy. They've probably been overshadowed now with soldering stations where you have much more accurate control of the heat. These things, I believe, you could, if you slid the control forward and held it for a bit, you could actually almost melt the copper tip. They would generate that much heat. It's going to have some value. I'll check that to make sure it's electrically safe, but it's going to be at least a $20 or $30 soldering station, I would reckon. I'm sure some older people would still like to have one of these in their kit. So that's a good little piece. Okay, we have a box here with, we have a box of keys and padlocks. Oh, these would have been out of my old shop. There's some old door keys. In fact, Hugh Jeffries, one of my subscribers, was looking for some keys. So you may be interested in those ones, Hugh. I can send you a better picture. I usually sell these sorts of keys at about $5 each, or a bunch like this. Maybe not $5 each, although that bigger one I probably would. It depends on the key. That's a more plain one. But a bunch like this I would sell for, say, $15, something like that. They're good, just a nice decorator item. Although sometimes if I'm fixing up an old lock, I am actually looking for a certain type of key. And I'll link a video up above now of a lock restoration I did a few years back now. And I managed to find a key and modify it to actually fit. So maybe I should keep some of these for now. They don't take up much space. The rest of them are just assorted padlock keys. The padlocks that actually have keys I can certainly sell. There's a much older padlock there. A Corbin. It's probably a German-made lock. Can't quite make that out. There's some bunches of little keys here that suit your little deed boxes and that sort of stuff. I do keep jars of keys in the shop, and it's amazing how often I go through them looking for one. Because these sort of keys aren't high security. You will find that there's not a lot of variation, and quite often you can file one a little bit to make it work. So they're quite handy. Whereas the modern type keys, these are anodized aluminium ones, and the coloured ones, and some of them are brass. Unlikely I'm ever going to find something that they suit, so I usually put these in a jar, and I sell a whole jar full of random keys, more just as a, craft people buy them. I could throw the brass ones straight in the brass bin, but I'd rather make a group of them. The other thing is I sometimes keep the Lockwood keys. That one's branded Lockwood, and I have had success selling them on eBay before, because there are people that collect The old Lockwood locks. Likewise, I've sold Lockwood locks without keys and they still sell. That's an A-bus key lock. That looks like quite a nice one. So we better go through this with a little bit more, in a little bit more detail. Some of these actually suit your display cabinets or your crystal cabinets, and they are quite interchangeable. They will fit wardrobes and all sorts of things. So I certainly do use those as well. So I'll go through this when I have a time. Ones that I don't think are any real value, I'll just throw in a jar. That's a Lockwood one. Anyway, bit of value there for me. I don't think we'll write down any value there, although there is certainly some value. Peanut butter jar, sanitarium, 12 ounces, and then it says 340 grams. So I'll just suggest that's early 1970s, where we were changing over our weight system. It looks like it was 45 cents. So yeah, that's probably worth getting, you know, we might get $5 for that in our kitchen area at the shop, because people do like vintage homewares items just for display. Nice, without the label it's nothing, it would go in the recycle bin. We have just a little booklet for a slide viewer, and I have a feeling this slide viewer is in one of the boxes somewhere. It's just a little handheld thing where you put slides, your photography slides in, and you can hold them up to the light and you can actually view the slide. Oh, it might even have a light globe in it. Yeah, I think it does. So I'll keep that, well, for when I find the slide viewer. Some more antenna cabling here. We'll hang on to some of that for now in case I need it. These little aluminium cups actually go with a fry pan and a little, like a pan with a frame in the top, and these sit in there for poaching your eggs. So there's a set of 4 of those. I'm pretty sure I don't have the pan. I'm not sure why these were put in separately. They're made of aluminium. They can certainly go straight in the aluminium bin. I think we'll probably do that rather than hold on to them, because even the complete egg poacher with the pan and everything is only going to be $10, so we won't hang on to those. Here we have a Brother, I don't know what it's a pricing thing. It prints out tapes, perhaps, or tags at least. You have different fonts. You've got a keyboard. You can type in whatever message you want to put on the tape, or prices or something. I guess that's what it is. A P-Touch 1000. I have no idea where this came from. I don't know if it works. I think we'll let's see what it's like inside. Oh, it takes a little cartridge with your tape. I wonder if you can still even buy them. Well, there's no corrosion from bad batteries or anything. It might still work. I'll check eBay to see if it has any value at all. It's not going to be of any value to scrap out. Interesting. We'll get back to you on that one. Okay, here's a little cross-stitch thingo that someone's done. When everything seems upside down, stand on your head. Great advice. That's just going to go in the $1 trolley at the shop, or even free. Someone will maybe reuse the frame or something, or hang it up like it is. Okay, we have some blades here. These look like planer blades, perhaps. They're undamaged. They've been used, but there's no chips in them. I don't know what they suit. Just a lid can go in the scrap. And these large Allen, they would go, they're an Allen key screw to hold these blades in whatever they go in. We better keep the blades for now in case we turn up something that they go with, because they're really of no value as they are. If I can't find anything that they suit, we can put them straight in the scrap metal. That's the end of this box. So I went and grabbed this other box that was next to the old printer, and it actually has stuff in it that I have to return to a family from a deal we did. There's a lot of personal papers and photographs and things, so we don't have to deal with that. And now that I've found it again, I can return that. So let's go through what we've got here and what I've decided to do with it all. Well, there's a few things I'm keeping, either to find other bits or might be useful with the antenna wire there, and of course we've got to find what those blades suit. Our brass weighed out at just over 2 kilos, so that's about $15 worth of brass. That can go straight in my brass bin. I did test these headphones and they actually work and they sound okay. The vinyl, as I mentioned, is not very good, but I'm going to put $5 on those in the shop. I'd rather not throw them in the e-waste, so we'll see how we go there. We talked about the jar. The books, I did some checking. There's a few copies of these online. Some of them, some sellers were asking quite a bit. Postage is an issue with books, which I talk about all the time because they're very heavy. I went for $20 each on those. I think we'll get that in the shop, no problems. The scope soldering iron, I couldn't find many for sale. I know they used to bring quite a bit of money. I've checked that one, it tests out fine. I'm going to put $40 on that and we'll see how we go. They are very, very good soldering irons for heavier duty work. They're not much good for fine PCB work or surface mount stuff, but they're good for the heavier stuff because they can generate heat very quickly. The keys, I sorted them out. What I've got the Lockwood ones. These are Australian Lockwood keys. I do keep them separate and I'll sell them in a bulk lot on eBay down the track. I can definitely get better than brass value for them. These are all the just nothing much keys. Some are brass, some are aluminium. I'll put them in a jar and we just sell them as a craft item or a curio. All these other ones I'm keeping for now because they do suit things that I find, like deed boxes, doors. These ones suit small like writing boxes and things, and these ones here suit your display cabinets. I do sometimes use these, as I mentioned earlier, for making a key to suit an old lock, and if you want some of those you can let me know. These ones are actually suitcase keys and I'll just put them in a jar. I've got some of those at the shop. I don't know what that one suits. These ones, there's a clock key which for a small wind-up alarm clock, so I'll certainly keep that because I'm looking for those occasionally. And these ones are wind-up toy keys, and we're looking at, oh, that looks like it's been a bit squashed, that one, but we can straighten that up. So I do use those from time to time. The padlocks, I found the key for the A-bus one. That's a nice lock, it works beautifully. I reckon we'll get at least $20 for that. This one cleaned up quite nicely, and I found a key for that one as well. I think we'll go 10 on that. It's a National New Lock. I think it might be an American lock, USA. This one, the Corbin, is actually USA. I thought it might have been German. Couldn't find a key for that, unfortunately, but I think we'll get 10 for that. I'll put 10 on that. And the Koala one, I think it's only a cheaper lock, but it works fine. It was a bit rusty, and I buffed it up. We'll probably just get 5 for that. So there's $45 for padlocks. I did find this little packet of pen nibs. You might have seen me pull it out and look in the packet, and I forgot to get back to it. I was distracted by something shiny, as it happens. But we'll get $5 for these. Pretty cool old pen nibs. What else did we have? Well, this is a label maker. I couldn't think of the term when I was talking about it before. And if we push the power button, I put some batteries in it and press print. It's going to print something off. And let's look at this. Of course, what else was I going to print off? How cool is that? So the little cartridge still works. We can cut that off and we can stick that on my forehead. How about that? So that's quite a saleable piece. I will take the batteries back out of it though, because I've grabbed them out of our air conditioner remote and our TV remote. I didn't have, it takes 6 batteries. I reckon we'll get $20 for that in the shop. We may even use it in the shop for pricing. Probably not. I like to handwrite tags. So I reckon we'll get 20 for that. So that brings us to the notepad. Here we go. Almost $200 out of pretty much one box. And the other box just had a few books in it. So there we go. Very nice indeed. Some more shop stock. Some good stock for my reserves when I'm looking for stuff. As I said, I'm always looking for keys. We've got a few odds and ends that I don't know if we're going to match up with anything yet. But that's not bad from only a couple of little, well, really just one box. Well, one box and a few books. Pretty good though, hey? Now, I forgot to mention earlier, those fans that we pulled out from the last episode, I had nominated $20 each. If you've seen my last video where I cleaned the fans up, we value added quite a lot, and I've actually sold the small one to a YouTube subscriber, and he's picking it up this weekend. That was the nice one for $85. So that's really adding to the value we're getting out of the emergency storage shed. I haven't factored that one in. I think I just wrote down $20 each for our value. As far as this lot goes, our $195 takes our total to $5,225. Of course, that's an approximate figure because I'm pulling stuff out that I'm keeping that I'm not recording, and we get things like the fans where I've value added and we haven't recorded. But it's an interesting sideline to our unboxings and how much value is actually sitting in that shed there, just in storage until I can get to it. So thanks for watching. Another video over and done with. I'll also mention, a few of you have asked, and now that we're at the end of the video, I know I've probably only got my regular watchers. Christine's doing very well with her shoulder surgery. It's just over a week now. She had her right shoulder done similar to mine last year, so had to put some tendons back on. Probably because we're getting on a bit and we're both very active with our table tennis and our dancing. But yeah, she's going along really well. It's kind of nice that I know what she's going through, and she also knows the support that I can give because she had to give it to me. So yeah, we're going along well, and she's recovering well. It will be a slow recovery, which I well know, but she'll get there. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for your support again. You might have noticed I've added a link under my videos for a buy me a coffee. A few people asked if I could do that. I'm not really looking for donations, as in I don't like asking for money, but any that you feel like you know, if you've got something out of my videos and you want to give something back to the channel, it would be very much appreciated, and I'll be using it to continue growing my channel and growing my repair business and everything I do. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.